everyone, and welcome back to the show. You are listening and watching Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio, where we are engaging, empowering, and living out loud. Hello, hello, it's Wednesday again, finally. As you all know, the topic of the show is single fatherhood or single dads. And sitting next to me is the handsome David Leday. He is also my guest co-host. As every third Wednesday, I bring in a guest co-host, so thank you for being the victim tonight.
It's always a pleasure. I'm not sure about the victim, but thank you for having me.
No, David is a great friend of mine, and I really appreciate you coming into the studio and, kind of getting your feet wet and being right here next to me and being part of the discussion tonight. So awesome, awesome. Also for my audience, I have two call-in guests that you will hear throughout the night. I have Ivory Cooper, who is also part of the discussion. He is a single dad, and he has raised his children, as well. And I also have Lawrence Dotson, who is another single dad. And we all are going to basically be having a roundtable discussion. I am going to check in with our two call-in guests in just one moment so they can introduce themselves, as well as, give a little brief description of their families and who they are. So, David, we'll start with you. For the audience that doesn't know you, would you like to give a little something about you and how many children you have and how you like being a dad and just a little bit to get us started?
I think being a dad is just wonderful. What I am, I'm a professional businessman in the beverage industry, a proud parent of two. I have one daughter at Berkeley and I have a son at San Jose State.
Good job, Daddy.
Well, thank you. A motivational and career speaker at many events. And I guess for me, being a single dad, I think the most important thing I've learned is learning to dance in the rain.
I like that. Okay, I'm going to bring on my callers. Ivory, are you there? Can you hear me? Bear with us, audience. Ivory, are you in?
Yes. Hey, Tracy, how you doing?
Hi, Ivory. Welcome to the show. Audience, this is Ivory Cooper, our call-in guest. He is also a parent and a single dad. So, Ivory, just as David did, please introduce yourself to the audience and give a brief description of your family and how it feels to be a single dad. And speak loudly.
Okay, I am a proud dad, of course. It's one of the greatest joys breaking the cycle because I grew up without my dad, and it's just one of the greatest joys. My son is 20 years old, and he's in the Marines, so I'm just following him.
Awesome, congratulations. So for those that didn't hear, Ivory has a son in the Marines who is 20 years old, so hoorah, congratulations. And my next calling guest, Lawrence Dotson. Lawrence, hon, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Lawrence, welcome to the show. Thank you for participating. Would you also like to tell our audience a bit about yourself and, why you like being a single dad?
Yes, well, I don't like being a single dad, but I love being a dad.
Awesome.
But I have two sons. I guess, got the young ones of the bunch. I have an 11-year-old and a 3-year-old. And, being a dad is fantastic. I'm a freelance work in the film industry, so I get to spend, a lot of time with my sons. It's a pretty unique situation. It's pretty great, so I just love it.
That's beautiful. So you do enjoy it. You're basically a full-time dad, then. You don't do the every other weekend and every other Wednesday night. I can see that.
Yeah, pretty much any chance I get, any free time I have, I'm grabbing a boy and we're going to the park or playing video games. It's lovely. I love it. It's a great experience.
Yeah, I think having that fatherly influence is so important for our children today. Before I dive into the questions, I did a little research and I pulled up for our viewers that can, watch me, just to let everyone know that's listening or watching. The call-in number is 424-243-9626. I am broadcasting live on Ustream. You can also see me on www.twilighttalkradio.com. And also, if anyone wants to follow along or click on the links to the show, my Facebook page, of course, is Live Conversations with Tracy. And here we go. When I chose this topic, I thought about some things, there's always a lot of focus on, single parenting, and it's always referring to the woman. Or even, raising children in a non-traditional or unmarried environment. There seems to be a lot of deferment to the woman and what she's doing, what her struggle is. And oftentimes it makes the man like the bad guy or the deadbeat. And so I wanted to kind of highlight, 3 dads that I knew that were really doing a good job and getting the job done. And basically something that would be shedding a positive light on men that are being there for their children in a definite role that is more than just, oh, God, the garnishment just came out of my check. So, my purpose of the show is just to have some open conversation and dialogue about experiences, the trials and tribulations of the single father. So, I went to fatherhood.gov, and I wanted to see some stats, and I found something called Dad Stats. And these are census results. They're census fatherhood statistics. So in the 70 million estimated number of fathers in this region, 24.7 million fathers who were part of the married couple families with children are younger than 18 in 2013. So what that basically is saying is there are a lot of, parent households. We have our nation that is full of families. However, 21% were raising 3 or more children younger than 18. Now, some of these were married. Some of these were married households. But when it got to the actual single dad households, 2 million of those were single fathers in 2013. And I was kind of surprised at that number because we don't often see anything highlighted about the single dad, about his dedication, about, how involved he is in their children's lives. So we're looking at 2 million single dads, single fathers are actually, according to 2013 census, are actually, they're doing that, doing what they're supposed to do, or, joyfully, I would think, doing what they're supposed to do. So, Dave, are you surprised at that number, or do you see similarities in, your environment?
Actually, I do. It's kind of terrible to say, but, I think that a lot of fathers are not getting the credit that they actually deserve, and we've always given that label of, not a participant or being a deadbeat dad or along those lines. And I think that for us fathers who are actually out there stepping up and being a dad, doesn't get recognized within our mainstream.
Right.
And so, I think that when a dad does actually be a dad, it's not because it's not a choice, for the real fathers, and I think that's so important because a lot of guys actually step away from that role because things didn't go right in the household. Well, you don't have that option if you are a true dad, and I just think that that's what all men should do.
Right, stepping up to the plate.
Stepping up to the plate.
Mm-hmm. Lawrence or Ivory, how do you feel about that? Do you feel it was more of a concerted effort to step up to the plate, or did it come naturally for both of you? Go ahead first, Lawrence.
This is Ivory.
Okay, Ivory.
Basically, for me, I had to break the cycle, like I said earlier, because I grew up with a lot of pain of not having my father, so it wasn't a choice for me. But it's great to hear those stats because we don't get recognition, and I think it's something that there's more dads out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are greater numbers out there than what they've already said, because it's something that needs to be recognized even more.
Okay, I hear you. When you talk about recognition, and it's funny because I know I'm going to catch some flack from some of my single parent mommy girlfriends, because when ladies talk, when women talk, is I am a single mom. I was the main provider, and I was the one that cared for and raised my daughter. That was the path, that was the life that we had. That's fine with me. But when women talk about, men and men wanting recognition, we're like, well, we have been doing this for centuries. And so now you guys are finally kicking in. And I'm, doing quotations now. Don't take this as a direct hit. But, just to open up the conversation, women are saying, we've been doing this job all along, and we haven't been saying, oh, I need recognition. But as soon as a man has to do something, he wants recognition. Does anybody want to respond to that?
Well, like you say, women say they've been doing it all along.
Is this Lauren?
So for a man to step up to the plate, yeah, it's Lauren.
Okay.
And so for a man to step up to the plate and take on that responsibility, being a single parent, it's not the norm. Like you said, we've been doing it for years. But, I think, the traditional man role has just been out to, get out there and make the money, take the bruises and the beatings of the world. And, the woman is the nurturer of the baby. But when the man takes on both of those roles, it seems unusual. So,
right.
I think it's just a different way of looking at it. You know what I mean?
I think I agree. I think that traditionally most men went out and earned the keep, and they left the raising of the children up to the mom. And, their job was, hey, I provided, a home, I paid the bills and things like that. It's your responsibility to raise the children. And I think, the cycle has actually broken. And, for a while, actually, it's just that it's not so much recognition. I think it's just more of men just being men and being true dads.
Okay, I like that, being true dads. I want to jump into a couple more statistics, actually. I went to the HuffingtonPost.com. There was an article called Single Fathers, and it's a Pew Research reports the number of single dads and how it has jumped in the U.S. I'm just going to read about a paragraph or two, and it's basically saying that there is yet another data point to add to the changing portrait of American parents. The number of single fathers has risen ninefold since demographers began measuring it more than 50 years ago. It goes back to 1960, where there were fewer than 300 households headed by single dads, according to the analysis of the Census Bureau. And by 2011, that had grown to more than 2.6 million. So that's more than twice the rate of growth of single mother-led households, which quadrupled in the same period. So what's really interesting about that statistic is, okay, so it increased ninefold. What are the reasons? Why did that statistic increase ninefold? Why are there now 2.6 million plus single dads in the United States? Where's the ladies?
I think the ladies are stepping away. I think the ladies are actually saying, hey, I can switch this role. I'm going to let the man stay home, and I'm going to go out and earn the keep. And oftentimes it doesn't work out that way. Or in the same sense, you may have some unresponsible moms that just want to walk away from the situation totally, and it's up to the father to take control of the situation.
Right.
And take control of the family.
Ivory, what do you think?
I would agree. It's not just one single cause. I would just say that it's basically all of those different things, because in my particular case, it was a situation where you look at where's the best situation for the child. It might be somewhere that the father is earning more money and living in a different neighborhood that's best for the child. So I think those factors, taking the betterment of the child's welfare into account at that particular time, may be the case as well.
When I look at that statistic and I think about different things, I think about all of the women that are very career-minded, like you said, Dave, and how traditionally in our parents' generation, in our grandparents' generation, women didn't have choices the way that we do now. I can remember my grandmother saying that once you graduated high school, you were not encouraged to go to college. You were led to believe that, your lot in life was to find a husband, bear his children, be the best housewife and mother you could for the neighborhood. And so if by some chance there was a divorce, it was almost like an automatic given that the courts were like, the children stay with the mother. But we're not seeing that nowadays. We're not seeing that during the divorce process that the courts automatically give the children to the mother. Quite often I see joint custody or I see custody where, the father has the child 70% of the time and the mother has the child 30% of the time because she's like, oh, no, I'm going to have my career and I'm going to have my me time as well. So I think the woman and the mother has evolved.
Mm-hmm. I think so, too. I think, things have changed. America is changing. You're seeing more women actually in the military on the front line, which was unheard of 20, 30 years ago. You're seeing more female doctors and dentists and CPAs and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think that the cycle is actually catching up to the male gender, so to speak.
Yeah.
Women are no longer sitting back and waiting for that to bear my child. Most women now are more career-minded women are thinking twice now about having a child. More importantly, who they having the child with.
Right. That's true.
That's so important.
Yes, that's so true.
Yeah, I think also it's the recognition of men, seeing how, there are a lot of, children out there who don't have a male influence in their life, who are just determined to, not be that, person, which is, I guess, I'm skipping ahead, like talking about this baby daddy syndrome. It's like, a lot of times a single dad might be thought of as a baby daddy, who's just like a sperm donor and it's not, contributing or whatever, versus like someone who's taking an active, part. You have a lot of guys not wanting to have that stigma of being a baby daddy, so they're stepping up to the plate and taking an active role, more so, than in the past.
Okay, well, let's jump into that question. And actually, you brought up the subject, and, I don't mind jumping in on that. I outlined a question about how do you feel about that. This is for all the gentlemen online on the phone. How do you feel about the term baby daddy? And what stereotype of a dad does it refer to? What does that represent to you? And how do you feel about being called like a baby daddy?
I think that's the worst title that you can give any man, any true father, that's doing what he's supposed to do in this world today.
Right.
Baby daddy, I just don't like that term, that phrase. I think that some women, not all women, look at that as a bank account. Look at that as this is my car note, this is part of my rent, my mortgage, my light bill. And they can care less about the child at some point. It's more about the money. Mm-hmm. So that baby daddy figure, I think that's kind of correlated and connected to money, and it's not about money, it's about the child and his best welfare.
Right. Guys, anything?
Yeah, this is Audrey. I would agree. Basically, it's like a valueless title. It's saying that you're just a sperm donor. You just help make this baby, but you don't really have any value in raising the baby. And it goes to all the socioeconomic, like you said, just a paycheck, something that I can go to when I need money, not something that's needed for the betterment of the child, so the child can become a productive member of society.
Okay, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here, fellas, before we go on commercial break. I am the average woman in a relationship, and I'm young. And I have unprotected sex, or I have a boyfriend at a young age, and I have sex with him, and he and I are not careful, and I end up pregnant. I'm sure his intention and her intention, were not to create a child. And I'm sure all good intentions are, well, we're going to take care of this baby. But all of a sudden, the man fades away, and that's the man that gets the term baby daddy. He's kind of earned that term, yes?
I would agree.
Okay. So I also don't like the term baby daddy, and I'm in agreement with you guys. But I think a lot of times a stereotype or a title is given because the behavior is distributed or is demonstrated, a lot of times. When I see men that have children, I don't think they're somebody's baby daddy. I don't refer to my daughter's father that way, even though he was not actively participating in her life about 70-80% of the time. I still don't refer to him like that because I believe words have power behind them. And if I'm going to label like a whole nation of fathers that have made children, how is that giving them an opportunity to step up to the plate if I'm always saying, you just a baby daddy? So
well, I think you have to change the dynamics of that, and you have to make sure that your participation is more involved. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine over in South Carolina, and we were talking about this 90 and 10%, and this is where we kind of disagreed upon, because I think it should be a 100% on both ends. And she tends to think whatever we get to 100, no matter how we get there, we get there.
Oh,
and I'm trying to get her to understand that it's not about the percentages. It's about it's a partnership.
Exactly.
And that we have to do this together.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't keep track. I can't say 90-10 or 70-30. When you participate in raising a child or even participating in a relationship, I want to give my 100%, and I want him to give his 100%. And maybe sometimes he's having an off day, or I'm having an off day, and I'm going to cover him, and he's going to cover me. But I think the premise in parenting is it's a selfless way of being. Yourself and your needs are no longer paramount.
Exactly.
So, and on that note, we're going to go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Last comment before commercial?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just saying, your life becomes your child. Everything is about, your child. You don't think about, what am I giving, what is given. It's all about what that child gets.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Good point.
Okay. All right. We're going to go to commercial. You are listening and watching Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio. See you in a minute.
The sound of a working smoke alarm. Those with special needs are often terrified when they hear this sound.
What is that? What do I do? How am I going to get out of here?
When it comes to fire, have a working smoke alarm on every level of your home. Let your fire department and building manager know of your special needs ahead of time, and practice your fire escape plan with others. Plan ahead for a fire emergency. Don't be scared. Be prepared.
Fire starts with you. A message from FEMA and the U.S. Fire Administration.
Combined Insurance is actively seeking recent college graduates for exciting roles within our sales organization. This isn't just any sales job. This is a full-time position with benefits, comprehensive training and support, as well as some customer leads. We believe this isn't just a job. This is your opportunity for a successful career with the leading supplemental insurance provider. We offer 2 career paths, sales and sales management. Use your strengths, education, and our unparalleled training program to set your trajectory for success. Call Monet Swan at 310-955-8577 for this unique opportunity. Call now.
Hi, welcome back. You are listening and watching Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio. For those of you that are just tuning in, we are discussing single fatherhood, being the single parent, full-time dad, even part-time dad, just being that single positive male influence in that child's life. I have 3 guests, one which is my co-host in the studio, Dave Leday is here. Thank you, Dave. I have 2 calling guests, too, who are also on the line. You can't see them, but I have Ivory Cooper, and I also... excuse me, I have Lawrence Dotson, they are both on the line. So the voices that you hear will be part of the group that we will be discussing the topics and the questions at hand. So for those of you that are just tuning in, the number here is 424-243-9626. You can press 1 to talk. I don't know if you'll get in tonight because we've got the in-studio callers. Also, I'm live on Ustream. You can watch us on Ustream. And, of course, TwilightTalkRadio.com is the station that you can also watch us live as well. If you have a question or a comment, I always like to give people my direct information. My email is tracytalks@hotmail.com. I have lipstick all over this mic. tracytalks@hotmail.com. Twitter is TKAllDay. And off we go. All right, fellas, you with me?
I'm here.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Please.
All right. Question number 1.
Here we go.
Yes. Okay. And before my guest callers, before you speak, say your name so our audience knows who you are and can seek you out if they don't agree. What are some of the challenges that you have faced being a single father?
Well, I think for me, I just think that the challenges I face is, one, not having a mother figure in the home. With me having a daughter, there's just some things that I feel personally that a mother can only show a mother, just vice versa as a man and a son. I remember my daughter doing different things, and I didn't know how to react or how to answer and how to reach out to people and try to help answer the question correctly and help guide her in the right way. I think you miss that family concept, that American dream. Of course, when you have children, just like being married, you never think about the bad. It's always the good. And so when that issue does arise, you got to first figure out how to deal with it, but more importantly, how will it affect the children?
Exactly. So your challenge seems to be the dynamic of being a man raising a young lady into a woman, and to try to be able to be everything that she needs in that situation. So you had to be mom and dad.
I did. I can educate my daughter about what we as men do, but it's hard to educate a daughter and help her be a lady. And some of those things that I think only a woman can teach a daughter to do. Right.
Lawrence, the same question. What are some of the challenges that you have faced being a single father?
Well, some of the challenges I've faced being a single father, it's definitely been financial. One thing that's unusual about my situation is that about 4 years ago, my older son came back into my life.
That's good.
When he was an infant, his mom went away, kind of disappeared. And I didn't see him for all that time. So about 4 years ago, she came back and said, "Hey, I'd like to see the son." I was like, "Yeah, great. Yes, I'd like to see my son." So over the past 4 years, I've been getting, acquainted with my son. Who's now, like I said, 11. So he was 7 last, first saw him.
Okay.
And after being 5 months old. And the greatest challenge has just been, filling in that gap.
Right.
It's like we kind of have to go through a fast-forward motion of, this boyhood to this young, manhood that he's gone to now. He's in elementary school when he met, so he already had a sense of the world, but now he's going into junior high school. He's in middle school now, and he has a different sense of the world. So within those 4 years, I've been that male influence that he, was missing, during that time that he was away from him. So, I really took the time to try to, fulfill him and build self-esteem, which I could tell was kind of down because, he never knew where his father was. And so now it's like having me,
right.
It's like, hey, I'm looking to you for some guidance, So the biggest challenge has just been, instilling that. It's not a challenge in a hard sort of way. It's just been a challenge of, doing that and making sure he's getting it. The challenge has been, being the best father I could be.
Awesome.
So,
awesome.
Good.
I'm kind of curious. It's not one of the questions that I presented to you guys, but it's something that kind of came across my mind. I notice a lot of times in life that there is a cycle that repeats. And I see guys that don't have a dad, and I see kids that don't have a dad that are in their lives, oftentimes repeating the cycle and making children and not being in their lives. So my question is, how much of a fatherly influence did you have growing up?
Well, I think for me, my dad wasn't around. He was always in and out of my life. So what it did for me is it actually made me want to be a better dad. It made me want to step up to the plate, hands down, and always say, I'm not going to be the dad that my dad was.
Right.
So I made sure that I went over and beyond that role to ensure that that didn't fall into my lap or my children's lap. And I think the biggest piece for me was when my dad actually told me, you are a better dad than I was.
Wow.
And that went a long way with me.
Absolutely.
So for me, you just kind of reversed the role.
Okay. Ivory?
Well, as I said earlier, I broke the cycle. My father wasn't there, and that it was the catalyst, just like Dave was, for me to be there for my son. by any means necessary. So I was there. I did everything from day one, and that was the reason why. Because I was not going to be that dad that was just going to be in and out and just break promises. And it made me a better dad because of that. Because when something happens to you, you have two choices. Like you said, you could either continue on with that cycle, and that's the easy route, but to step up to the plate and do something different and break that cycle, that's something else to be done.
You know, what happens to you as a man and as a person? How do you know what to do as a parent? If you did not have that father, and if you were not parented in a way to have that male influence and to have that parental love, dedication, emotional support, how do you know what to do? I mean, love is love. If you love somebody, you give 100% of yourself. So I know love is the common factor, but is there a village concept where you pull others around you to help you, or did you guys read books or go to therapy, or was it something? Because this may be a double standard. Innately, well, men and women don't know how to be parents.
My father was there. My father was in my life. My parents, were together. I grew up. I had two sisters. My father was there. Both my parents worked. Full time and everything. But as far as my father being an example, he was verbally abusive. He was, physically abusive. There were good times, but
right.
It worked on my self-esteem. So later in life, I had to realize that, he just did what he knew what to do, you know what I'm saying? And I had to get over that and, build my self-esteem up and, realize who I was and my worth. So sometimes you can have a role model, but, it might just, lead you in a different direction. So I feel I'm just breaking that cycle with my kids
right.
by being more understanding, and talking to them and giving them an understanding of what that I didn't get from my father, rather I got that from my grandfather.
Okay.
And that's, the advantage of having the elders in my life, too. Like, they know a lot of that, a lot of things that they did wrong with their kids, that they don't school the grandkids on. So I had the advantage of that, I feel, in my life. And I'm just doing that, to break that cycle of, abuse, that...
that you endured.
Yeah,
that was
an older generation may have had a tendency to, like, just, put upon their children, you know what I mean? So it's
you know what it sounds like to me, gentlemen? It sounds like all three of you are generational curse breakers. Seriously. Seriously, because it, and I, again, I had no idea these questions, how, you guys would answer this. I didn't know a lot of things personally about you all, so I'd like to honor the fact that, you guys are being vulnerable and being honest, because I think a lot of times there are people listening that are going through things that are going to be encouraged by your stories and by what you're sharing. So, thank you, guys, for definitely keeping it real and keeping it honest. And I'm getting hopeful because this is the exact reason why I'm doing this show with you gentlemen here, because we do not see men speaking this way. We do not see men saying, yeah, well, I had it this way, but I devoted myself to my children, and it's important for me to be a good dad. I really, really, really am happy that we are able to promote this positive image of, the father, the single man. So awesome, guys. Go ahead, David.
I think it's great. I think, back to your last question, when you talk about the village, I remember that first day I was trying to put my daughter's hair in a ponytail.
Oh.
It didn't come out quite right, but
I can imagine, a little crooked.
We still laugh about that to this day, but it all worked out.
Yeah. There's a learning curve.
There is.
Absolutely. Don't feel bad. I have a daughter too, and doing her hair was a learning curve for me as well. Oh, it's precious. Oh, okay. Let's here's something positive. What is your proudest moment as a parent?
What I think for me, my proudest moment was being able to be a positive influence on my children. I promised them to get them through life, to help them navigate through life, to build a foundation that will sustain the earthquakes.
Yes.
Right?
Plenty of them.
Plenty of them. And I think that seeing my 2 kids get into college, to me, was just a milestone for me. So,
good job, Dad.
Yeah,
good job, Dad.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I always say when people congratulate me, I have a daughter that graduated from Pepperdine University. People are like, good job, Mom. I say, well, I got credit for the first 18. Once she left the house, it was kind of like, it's on her. What she did was on her.
But so you built that foundation.
Exactly. We all did. Good parents do build that foundation, and it is true. If you are there, if you are present, and if you sacrifice you for them, it will definitely benefit them in their journey. So, Lawrence, Ivory, which one of you want to share a proud moment as a parent?
Well, with Lawrence, and I think my proudest moment as a parent is whenever my sons listen to me, whenever they follow my instructions. I mean, if you have a 2-year-old, you can get them to do something, listen to you, you're doing something.
That's a miracle right there.
So yeah, I'm proud when I can do that.
Agreed. Ivory?
I had a couple of proudest moments. It was when I saw my son graduated from high school. That was a real proud moment. And the day he graduated from boot camp, the hug that I got that day, he said, Dad, I am able to do this because of you.
Wow.
That was a proud moment.
I would have been crying.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I was serious.
Of course. Good job, guys. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. Okay, here's this is for Ivory and for Lawrence. Do you believe a man has to be present to raise a boy to a man, or can a woman do that? I'm gonna get you, so go ahead. Let me have it. Go ahead. Come on, guys.
I was raised by my mother, of course, this is Ivory, and she did a great job. And she taught me a lot of strong values that really molded me and shaped me and gave me the foundation for life. But there were certain elements that just were missing that she could not provide for me.
Could you be specific? I always wanted to know the answer to this one. The elements that a woman, in your opinion, that your mother, as magnificent as she was, what were the elements that you felt a woman or your mom wasn't quite able to provide?
Just all the experiences that a man has to go through. What a man has to experience in the world. Only another man can really teach a child, a son that.
Okay.
So just those things, those blind spots that I had to experience and find out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of
okay.
I can't think of anything, a lot specific, but there's just a lot of things. But,
right.
And vice, like David was talking about with his daughter, there's just certain things. I think it's reversed as well.
Yeah, I'll get to that about how the woman influencing the daughter's life. But Lawrence, do you have any comment on can a woman raise a man, or can only a man truly raise a man, a boy to a man?
Yeah, I agree with Ivory. It's I think that a boy needs a male influence in his life. He needs some kind of guiding teacher to show him the ways of a man. Mm-hmm. A woman can't do that. A woman, yes, she can, put, clothes on his back and feed him and house him, give him the basics. But there are things that, men experience that can only be shared with another man. Just like, there are things that a girl experiences that only a woman can pass on to a girl. So I think it's vital that, a man is somehow influenced in a boy's life, to give him that influence.
Oh, my chest is tight. Okay.
Breathe.
Yeah, right. I have a grandson. I have one child. I have a daughter. I did not have to raise a boy, but my daughter right now is raising he's 4. And, gosh, I want to disagree with you guys wholeheartedly, but because I'm actually seeing some things already at age 4, that make me believe that if we had a man around, he probably wouldn't do that stuff. And I hate to say that. My grandson is the apple of my eye, and he's a doll, but there's something about having a male influence in the household with children, period. I mean, I'm not going to break it down as far as gender. There's something to be said about having that family unit, that male-female family unit that works together and is present and is in a healthy, loving relationship that raises the children in a healthy environment. 90% of the households don't have that. Even if they have two-parent households, one parent is crazy, the other one is not. I mean, we could go on. But I think because...
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Tracy. And in the same token, I mean, it's important for men to be, involved in a girl's life as well.
Right.
Because, I mean, girls get their self-esteem from males.
Thank you.
When you get older, you become women.
Yeah, you're leading. You're going where I was going.
Boys, we're talking about, single fatherhood. We're talking about fathers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, it doesn't matter the gender or style. It's
right.
the point that the father's there being that example for that child. It's how to respond to a man.
Absolutely.
Be male or female.
And I think whether you're a dad of daughters or you're a dad of sons, I think that you being alone, you have to incorporate both styles of parenting. You have to incorporate, you have to embrace your feminine side, guys, and as well as be a man. Just like the woman that have the children, both male and female. If we are alone raising these children, we have to be the disciplinarian and we have to be the maternal, loving, supportive, empowering woman parent. So it's just, it's kind of like we have to have that duality and adopt that as single parents. And, again, it wasn't designed to be like that, but, who can predict what happens in life? I think what's most important, though, is that when you are faced with that commitment in that child, that you decide that, like how you did, Dave, I'm going to be different than what I experienced.
Right.
And, and I really appreciate, you sharing that, because that's not what we normally see. I'm sure all of us could look at examples in our family lives and in our friends' lives where you see the grandpa making a slew of kids, the son making a slew of the dad, the son, on and on and on and on. And it's like, when does it end? I think it takes a very strong man, and I'm talking to three of them right now. I think it takes a very strong man to say, the cycle stops here. I'm going to be the positive change. So definitely, yeah, definitely. I want to talk about child support. Because and we're going to go to commercial in a little bit, but I'm going to begin the topic about child support before we go to commercial. Some dads are single dads, and they don't ask for child support. Some dads are single dads, full-time fathers, I'll say, and they do ask for child support. Does it make you a wuss if you ask for child support?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Why not?
Okay.
I think that the court system has designed child support, and like you say, traditionally, the woman was always, or the mom was always the one on that welcoming end of that child support payments.
Well, that's okay.
That's right. I said it.
Welcoming in. You know what? Okay. All right. This is we'll have another show about that.
But I just think, why not? I think that it goes both ways. And I think just as long as the money goes towards the children and not your personal enjoyment.
I can't get my hair did?
No.
Oh.
No, not at all.
Dang.
You fly anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate you. But I didn't even have your baby. So.
No.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I'm going to run to commercial, but we're going to come back and, talk to you, Ivory and Lawrence, about the question of child support. So, again, audience, thank you. You have been listening to Live Conversations with Tracy on Twilight Talk Radio. Cutting to commercial. See you in a minute.
James had trouble seeing. He thought he was tired. His leg went numb. He lost his balance and couldn't talk. He couldn't call for help. James had a stroke. If anyone had recognized the signs and called 911, his life might be different. Remember these warning signs: sudden numbness or weakness in the face, arm, or leg, trouble seeing, sudden confusion or inability to speak. If you suspect a stroke, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost. Visit strokeassociation.com.
Do you know that children under the age of 5 are twice as likely as the rest of us to die in a home fire? Children depend on their parents and other caregivers to protect them. Here's what you can do to keep children safe from home fires. Keep matches and lighters out of their reach, maintain a working smoke alarm on every level of your home, and practice a fire escape plan. Remember, get out and stay out. For more fire safety information, visit www.usfaparents.gov. This message is brought to you by the United States Fire Administration, your local fire department, and this radio station.
All right, now, welcome back. You're listening and watching Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio. I've been told we have a caller that wants to call in with a comment and question. Are we ready to bring them on, or do we want to? Okay. All right. Hi, caller. What's your name, and where are you from?
Hi, my name is Shay, and I'm calling from South Carolina.
Hi, Shay. Welcome to the show.
I would like. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to say that I really am enjoying your show, Tracy. It's the first time that I'm on. However, I would like to ask Mr. Leday a question.
Please go right ahead. You're more than welcome, and thank you for calling in.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Leday, I have a question for you. Are you interested in getting married one day?
This is why I have you on the show. Stuff comes out the woodwork on you. I want to know that question, too. You know, I've known this man for like 10 years, and he has a way of disappearing. Yes, ma'am. Okay? Wow. Yes, answer the question.
Oh, disappearing.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Okay, go. We're going to have to talk off air.
So
okay, go ahead, Dave. All right, gotcha.
So, yes, absolutely.
Single dad over here?
Absolutely. My goal is to get married, and I will get married. I don't tend to live my life as a single person. I don't want to grow older by myself. So, yes, when that special person does come around, I definitely will be getting married.
When that special person does come around, stay on the line, okay? Because...
okay, I think he's found her, though.
Thank you.
I will stay on the line.
Yeah, I think you need to stay on the line because, maybe you'll have an opinion or something to say about what I'm saying. I love it when a man says when a special person comes around. You know, how old are you, honey? 40-ish, 50-ish?
I'm actually...
Yeah, I'm talking to Dave. I would never ask a woman how old she is.
Don't worry. I'm sorry.
Dave, how old are you?
I'm 40.
No,
plus.
he's probably closer to knocking on 50 than he is 40.
Ooh.
Anyway, okay, why is it that a guy says that when someone special comes around, but you're almost 50, and I'm sure you've come across many special ladies. So, caller, what do you think it might be? What is the hesitation?
I believe that sometimes we can have a particular type of person in our view that we want. And when people don't come around who has all those qualifications, then sometimes we overlook those people.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
Well said.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in. Awesome. Okay. Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a blessed one.
Thank you,
too. You know, it's always a joy having you here. It really is because this is the second time you put in the hot seat and you handle it so well. Such a gentleman.
Wow. I'm looking at Tasha over there, and she's like, our producer here, and she's like, "Oh, you get these calls all the time?"
I know, right? I know. Last time we had someone that was definitely a fan of yours from 30 years plus.
Wow,
but
I'll tell you.
Hey, that's all right. You must have the magic touch. I don't know.
It's loyalty.
Loyal. Okay. Drop the mic. Oh my God! Okay, let's get back to the message at hand. Lawrence and Ivory, if you remember, the question was, how do you feel about a dad receiving child support? Go ahead.
I'm all for it. Like I said, if a man is taking care of the child and the woman is able to financially support him in doing that, it's all about the child. It's all about his welfare.
Okay.
And the woman should, want to do that.
Right. I might just say, why not? Why not?
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I think that whoever the full-time parent is should also be receiving financial assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So it just historically it's always been the woman. However, if you're the full-time father, there's nothing wrong with, unless, of course, the mother is not working, but, that's another situation in itself. But whoever the full-time parent is should definitely be receiving support from the other parent. So I think we're all in agreement here, definitely. Mm-hmm. All right, here's the question.
Yeah, that's how the situation fits. Let it be.
Mm-hmm. But, I know some guys, let me tell you something. I've known some fathers that are like, no, I don't need her money. This is my child. And I know some women that are like, oh, no, I don't need his money. This is mine. It's better for me not to, go to court and get all that stuff, because then whatever we decide to do as a union as far as visitation and financial support, can be dictated by us. What about that caveat?
Well, I think that, that's a little bit of pride.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of, I don't need you, I don't need your money. But I think that you have to understand it's not about you or your pride. It's more about the children and their well-being. It's more about what's down the road. And sometimes, you may not have the financial stability that you may love to have. And you may need that additional support. So I think it comes with putting your pride to the side and being able to accept the different things, whether it's financially, whether it's, child care, whatever it is. Just putting that pride to the side, I think.
And then, because really people have the misconception, men and women have the misconception that child support is for the parent. I'm not going to deny my child what she's supposed to have. Whatever she is supposed to receive, she's supposed to receive. And it's not up to me to be prideful, like you say, and say, I don't need it. Well, your child needs it. Your child, that could be a college fund. That could be, for sports. That could be for anything. So, yeah, I agree. There needs to be mutual support. I cannot believe the show is almost over. All right, guys, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to end on like a positive note, and which will probably take a long time, so we're going to run over, but I'm going to ask anyway. What is the best advice you could give a young man today who is about to become a father?
I would say make sure he is stable mentally, financially. Make sure that he is looking at the big picture and not so much the commercials. Make sure he's going to be able to be there and be that father, be that dad, that leadership role, and be prepared for the unexpected things that may come along this way.
Very nice. Ivory?
I would say decide. And what decide means is decide that you're going to be in that child's life no matter what. And there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys in that, whether you're with the person that you made the child with or you're not. But you're going to make the decision to be there at all times. And you're going to work to provide for that child's future.
Okay, I like that. So make that commitment and decide that this is what you're going to do. Okay. Lauren?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Just be present. Be present in that child's life. Even if you can't do what people expect you to do your best.
Okay.
Whatever you can do, just be present in that child's life and let that child know that, you're there for them and you love them.
Okay. Okay, agreed. Great advice, fellas. We have got to close the show down. Yes.
Can I also add to one thing that I always said that is for that guy who's about to have that child is raise a child from the end backwards. What type of man or woman do you want to raise and be the example for this thing?
Say that again, because I didn't hear you, and I'm sure our callers didn't, and I like what you said. Raise the child from
the end backwards. What type of value, what type of person would you like your child to be, and to be that for your child, an example of the things you're supposed to show your child to.
And on that, everyone, we are going to end that show. Great piece of advice. I'd like to thank my guests for being here, Ivory Cooper and Lord Stotson. Sharing your stories and sharing your experiences and advice has been invaluable. Thank you so much for being my call-in guest and for tuning in. Much appreciated. And Mr. Dave,
thanks for having us.
Yep, absolutely. Mr. Dave Leday, it is always a pleasure having you sit right here next to me. I enjoy your presence. I enjoy the people that call in, honey. But I also appreciate you bringing your perspective.
The pleasure's all mine.
Thank you so much. And to my fans, my audience, and my loyal Live Convo listeners, if you want to reach out and talk to me, tracytalks@hotmail.com, Twitter, TKAllDay9, and, of course, you can go on my page on Facebook, Live Conversations with Tracy. We are out of time. You have been listening and watching to Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio. Until next Wednesday, be powerful, be positive, and be blessed. I am TK All Day, signing out, and good night.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Twilight Talk Radio, its advertisers, or affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.